Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Earful Tower podcast, and my name is Oliver G. And about 2 months ago, I got an email from a man called John, who works for a French river cruise company, says he works with a lot of French enterprises, and happens to know a man called Jean Charles de Vogüé very well. Now, if you're not familiar with that name, Jean Charles is the owner of the Château Vaux-Le-Vicomte. John wrote that he's a super nice guy, speaks great English, and would be an interesting person for me to interview. Naturally, he continues, you could also fulfill your bucket list item by getting to visit this chateau. I've already contacted him, and he would be more than happy to meet with you. Now, everyone at home, this is my favorite kind of email to receive from a listener who enjoys the show and has some kind of fantastic contact, which is what happened here. The Château Vaux-Le-Vicomte, as John wrote, was on my bucket list. A few episodes back, I listed all the things I wanted to do in France, and this chateau was high on my list. And I'm going to give you a little bit of the history of this chateau, sort of like a stupid idiot's guide to this chateau, because Jean-Charles will get way more in depth, and I think it's important that you guys know what we're talking about before we get there. So the really basic version of it is 350 years ago, a very rich man who was the finance minister built a very fantastic chateau. I said I'd dumb it down, so I will. He got 3 people who were exceptionally good in their fields to build the garden, to design the interior, and to design the chateau. They did such a good job, spent so much money on it, that King Louis XIV got upset, sent the owner to jail, and essentially used it as a blueprint for Versailles. Now, Versailles is the V word. We're not going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the other V word, Vaux. Vaux-Le-Vicomte. And that is where I drove out to this very week. To paint the picture, it's about an hour out of Paris, southeast. I drove down there with Lina, she's about 9 months pregnant now, so I think she hoped that maybe she'd give birth to a little prince or princess if it happened on the day, but it didn't. And we went out there. The chateau itself is absolutely magnificent to look at. You have to look at my website, online, anywhere, to get a little bit of an idea. And in fact, while I was out there, I did a lot of filming as well. I'll talk about that at the end of the episode, so you can check it out too. And if you're a Patreon supporter to this show, hopefully you already watched live while I did an in-depth video tour with Jean Charles of the gardens, and then a second one inside the chateau while it was closed to the public. It was probably a career highlight for me. I had so much fun. And Jean Charles is the man you are about to meet. So sit back, get comfortable, picture this. We're sitting in a chateau founded in 1656. We were sitting in what was a games room, a gilded corner room that was absolutely stunning to look at. We were sitting on a 17th century sofa, me and Jean-Charles, looking out through the window over the expansive and beautifully manicured gardens. And we're talking about the history, the present, and the future of the Château Vaux-Le-Vicomte. Enjoy the episode. Jean-Charles.
Yes.
This is the most beautiful studio I've ever had.
Yeah, it's kind of nice, yeah.
Kind of nice? Okay, this is a gilded, what is it, a games room?
Yeah, it's a cabinet, a games cabinet.
What does that mean?
From the 17th century.
What is it? What's the idea here?
Well, it's just a small place, intimacy, where you can just play games or be more intimate, I guess.
And it's covered in not just gold, but like beautiful paintings that I assume have been here since the beginning.
Yeah, this room is really amazing by the quality of the paintings, with all the details, the flower details, and even some kind of fun story upstairs on the ceiling, because we at some point we can see a place where there's a snake running after a squirrel. So maybe we think that Colbert, the enemy of Fouquet, is running after him.
Wait, do you see that now?
Yeah.
Where?
Oh, it's a bit difficult to see, but it's over there. You can see there's a lion, and then on the left of the lion, there's a snake.
Uh-huh.
And the couleuvre. The couleuvre is the emblem of Colbert.
Right.
And just on the left of that, you can see the squirrel, which is the emblem of Fouquet.
Hang on, what did you say? Couleur? What's that?
Couleuvre.
What's that?
Couleuvre, that's a snake.
A snake?
Yeah.
See, I'm learning so much already.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because you told me in another room that we'll talk about in a second that a lot of these pictures tell stories that maybe typical people aren't educated to read anymore.
Yeah.
but in the old days people could. But we'll get back to that. Because first I thought it would be fun. I'm sure that there are people listening who've never ever heard of Vaux-Le-Vicomte. So firstly, let's start with pronunciation.
Yeah, Vaux-Le-Vicomte.
Vaux-Le-Vicomte.
Which is not easy for foreigners. I understand. Yeah.
Do people call it VLV?
So we call it Vaux.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
Vaux.
Let's go to Vaux.
Yeah, okay, Vaux.
That's how the French say it.
VAUX. Yeah. And it's, I thought what I was going to say is I thought it could be fun for you to give like the idiot's guide, the 1 minute guide to the history of this place for someone who has no idea before we get into sort of deeper subject.
Sure.
Over to you. Because I'm not doing it.
So Vaux-Le-Vicomte has been created by Nicolas Fouquet. Fouquet was the finance minister of the king. He was 46. He was very powerful. And the king was just very young, 23 years old. He just got the power from Mazarin, who just died. And Fouquet decided to build this place not so far from Paris, so not so far from the power, and not so far from Fontainebleau, where the king is going hunting. So he's always close to the king. He decided to take the best artists of the time to build this place, which are Le Vaux for the architecture, Le Nôtre for the gardens, and Le Brun for all the decoration inside and also outside. He's spending a lot of money. He's giving them a lot of money and a wide page. So the artists are free to build whatever they want to build, of course, with the help of Nicolas Fouquet. And they build a masterpiece. They build a very modern property with the first major French-style gardens. Mm-hmm. And nobody in the court of Louis XIV have seen such a property before, with a very modern, again, main house, mm-hmm. Outbuildings on the side, and these very huge gardens. The garden is 70 acres, and the property is 1,200 acres. So it's a very big property.
Right.
And Fouquet wants to have this house as the house of his friend, the house of the best artists of the time. And Colbert, who's going to be fighting with Fouquet to be the prime minister. There's no prime minister at the time, but they'd be like the same role of the prime minister. He's going to be very jealous. He's cold. He's not very friendly. And he's very jealous of the power of Fouquet. And he's going to influence the king that maybe he stole the money from the state. The king, who had a very difficult story at the beginning of his power of his time, is going to believe Colbert, and he's going to throw Nicolas Fouquet in jail, and then Fouquet would be staying in jail until the rest of his life and will die in jail. So that's the story of Vaux-Le-Vicomte until the arrestation of Nicolas Fouquet, and then after it's going to be in private hands until now.
The thing that's really interesting besides the history is that it's taken like there's a modern approach to what you guys are doing in, it wasn't that long ago that it opened to the public, and it's a business now, and you have to think about that. Like, do you find yourself more leaning to being interested in the future of it rather than the past of it, for example?
Oh yeah, definitely. And now we are the three brothers running the property together, and we're all together with the same vision. And our vision is really to have our visitors coming here, discover this place first, and really having a good time here and learning things, and learning about the jealousy of Colbert with Nicolas Fouquet, and also about getting inspired, because the talent of those three men, they were very audacious, and I think we want the people today to understand that audace of those three men, of the men of the 17th century, and to be also audacieux on their own. So we want them to understand that.
Is it, and I don't know how you feel about even mentioning the word Versailles. Is Versailles like the enemy for you guys?
Did I talk about Versailles?
No. No. So, but I mean, is it like two museums that fight for or is that just the other side of town? You guys?
No. Of course. I stopped the story at the arrestation of Nicolas Fouquet. But when Fouquet got arrested, the king will close the chateau for 10 years. He will take a lot of furniture from here to bring into the Louvre.
Yeah.
And then, most important, he will take the three main artists, Le Vaux, Le Brun, and Le Nôtre.
He just copied.
And bring them to Versailles and I guess he will tell them build something bigger and nicer than Vaux-Le-Vicomte.
Yeah.
And that's what they try to do.
So even though even though the chateau fell into your family's hands a long time after it was built, do you personally and your brothers, do you sort of like, you know, like in Harry Potter, they don't talk like Voldemort is he who shall not be named. Is that the same with like Colbert for you guys? Colbert.
Yeah, actually, there's a tapestry here that I will show you later. On the back of the tapestry, you can see the emblem of Colbert, the couleuvre I told you about. Mm-hmm. And actually, my father had fun with this tapestry because he put a piece of tapestry on top of the couleuvre, and he put the squirrel on top of the couleuvre.
Why was Fouquet's thing a squirrel out of all the animals?
Because the squirrel is fast and climbing high.
Yeah, which we're going to do today, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about the chateau itself. So I assume some people, in fact, I know a lot of the listeners who've messaged me already. A lot of people have been here before. They know that people have been texting me things I need to do here. But in terms of things to do, people can get here, they can do the kind of what you'd expect when you visit a chateau. You can walk around the rooms and see all the beautiful tapestries and the decorations and so on. The garden as well, obviously that's a main draw point. But people can go up to the very top.
Yeah.
What's the I haven't done it yet. I don't know what to expect. What's the deal with that?
Well, they can see all the construction of the roof, all the big wood construction. And then we can go to the really top of the roof with a 360-degree view on the property, so you can see all the roof just around you, and the best view on the property, the gardens, and all the buildings.
But it's very small up there, or
yeah, it's kind of small.
Does that mean that most people don't go up there?
Yeah, it's an extra option because we don't want to have everybody to go up there because it's sensitive.
I see.
And also we have some private events up there during the summer.
Exciting, like what?
Well, you can privatize the event, the top of the roof during the candle evenings and during the fireworks, and have a glass of champagne. And this summer, I'm preparing a special dinner up there for two.
So because I saw the top, you're talking about the sort of the coupole? Can we call it a coupole at the top? And I'm fascinated with these in Paris. Like, you know, in the 16th arrondissement, there's a lot of it's called coupole. Is it?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing up there. Can you get inside that?
Yeah, you get inside that, and then on the top of that, you got the lanternon, where you have a outside perimeter where you can walk, but it's quite small. Yeah.
I'm excited. It's funny that I've been talking on the show about wanting to get inside a coupole in Paris for ages, and the first one I'm going to get inside is in Le Vaux.
Yeah. But you see the l'Institut de France just in front of Le Pont des Arts in Paris.
Yeah.
It's the same coupole as this one. It's done by Le Vaux, the same architect.
This is interesting, this Le Vaux guy. I've got a story that I've never told on this show before, and I don't want to tell it yet, actually, but I'll hint at it. I was recently in Paris, and I got into a specific courtyard where I wasn't living or anything. I snuck into a courtyard, long story, but I ended up meeting the guy who'd lived there for 70 years, and he said that his building on the Ile Saint-Louis was designed by Le Vaux.
Yeah.
Does that, I mean, now that I think about how in demand Monsieur Le Vaux was, that must be an amazing thing, right? Like,
oh yeah. I mean, he built many private properties in Paris, and there's the famous one, Hôtel Lambert in Paris, in Ile Saint-Louis, which is now the property of some.
That's the one on the court on the air. Yeah, that's exactly, like a Saudi prince or something.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a famous ceiling in there, which is the ceiling of Hercule. One of the king, the Greek king, the Greek god.
Yeah, Hercules.
The Hercules that we have here also at Vaux-Le-Vicomte, and there's a famous painting painted by Lebrun in that property. Does
it have a big lion on it as well? I've noticed Hercules always has a lion.
I never visited it.
So I've got a question for you. So I don't know how it works in Paris because I don't own a chateau or anything like that, but I do know in the smallest chateau community of France that it's quite common for people to, follow each other on social media and say, "Hey, I've got a chateau too. We should become friends," right? Yeah. Do you have the same thing that you text people at other landmarks, especially private-owned landmarks around France, and you're like, "Hey, it's Jean Charles. Do you want to come have a look, and I'll come have a look at yours?" Or
well, whenever we have a subject, we can also meet each other, but there's a big community of French and especially private chateaux called under the La Demeure Historique, which is like the the syndicat protecting all those private owners.
Mm-hmm.
And we are members, and we are exchanging a lot with all those owners. Yeah.
That sounds quite formal. It's not like a WhatsApp group or something?
And there's a next gen group about this. So it's all the young generation.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that would be
And
really
they
fascinating.
they have a lot of drinks at the end of the...
Really? Is there somewhere in France, someone like you that lives in a place like, or you don't live in here, do you? You live nearby, right? You don't live in this building, right? Is there a place in France that takes your breath away that's not this place? Do you have a favorite monument somewhere else?
I think difficult to say I've got a favorite monument. Here we got inspired by a British monument, Chatsworth, near because they're really inspired mostly on the way to open the property to the public and doing events. But I think France is just like Italy are two beautiful countries, and there's so many monuments.
Are you not picking a favorite because you don't want to compete for the tourists? Anyone listening to this is going to come here. Don't worry, they're going to come and try and find you. Okay, we say Chatsworth in the UK, which I looked up after I was researching Vaux-Le-Vicomte. But let's talk about the chateau was gifted to your parents from your grandparents. Is that right?
My great grandparents.
Okay, so how did they come into possession of it?
So the chateau has been abandoned by the last family who owned it, les Choiseul-Pranin.
And can I stop you? When you say abandoned, do you mean totally totally?
Well, they were like living in Paris and not taking care of the chateau. We are like in the 1840s.
Right.
And in 1875, my great-grandfather decided to buy it at an auction sale. So he was the only bidder to come. The place was in really bad shape.
Is that what no one showed up because it was in such bad shape, or because they got the date wrong and your great grandfather just knew?
No, it was really in bad. I mean, the gardens were a mess. The chateau was okay, but it needs to be fixed in many places.
Right.
And so it cost a fortune. So he didn't pay a lot of money to get it at the auction. He was the only bidder to come, and he really saved the place because he got it and then he restored it. So he paid a lot of money. He spent a lot of money to restore the house, and then his son spent even more money to restore the gardens because the gardens are huge. They're 70 acres, so a lot of the pools were missing. So they really did a great job, and they really saved Vaux-Le-Vicomte. We just did our part later on. My dad, from 1968, he opened to the public, and now it's our generation to do it. But they really saved the place.
But so I don't know if this is too personal a question, but your great-grandparents and his son, they must have had a lot of money to be able to do that.
They did, yeah.
Would they also finance ministers like Fouquet?
No, actually, he was the father of Alfred Sommier, the one who bought the chateau at the auction. He was a boulanger, a bread maker. But my ancestor, Alfred Sommier, he really got rich because he was the first man to transform sugar beets into sugar. So he was an industrial man.
Wow!
And he made a lot of money with that, and decided to buy a big property for him and his family, and because he loved arts, and when he visited this place that was abandoned, he fell in love with this.
Okay, and then 1968, your parents say, "Gosh, we don't have a fortune from sugar. We haven't invented anything yet. Let's open it to the public, and by getting visitors here, we can finish restoration or continue the upkeep, essentially."
Yeah, my father received from his dad the chateau as a wedding gift, and he got married in 1967. And he decided he didn't have, as you said, the same fortune. He had a little bit of money, but not as much. And he decided to open to the public. The family was against that, but he decided to open to the public because he needed the help of the visitors to complete the restoration, to continue the restoration.
That must have been really interesting time for your forefathers, that your dad wanted to open it to the public and it had never been open to the public. That must have been fireworks there. I can't even imagine.
And he was part of the first, it was not the first, but part of the first man who opened their chateau to the public.
In France?
In France, yeah.
Really?
I guess in England they maybe started before, but like Thoiry, like Cheverny, like Chenonceau, they were the first private properties to be opened in the public in the 1960s,
Do you like Chenonceau, by the way?
Yeah, of course. Chenonceau is a beautiful place,
I like the that you could.
The arch.
I've always wanted to take a canoe underneath.
Yeah, you can do paddle thing. You also paddle now, which is like more modern.
But that chateau is nothing compared to this one.
It's different, yeah. It's different. It's very nice.
I heard Rick Steves says that this is the most beautiful in France.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah. Let's talk. That brings me to culturally, and fast forward to now. A lot of films have been set here.
Sure.
And I think the famous ones that people probably know about: Moonraker from James Bond, Man in the Iron Mask with Leonardo DiCaprio, young Leo before he was famous.
Yeah.
How old are you, by the way?
Now?
Yeah.
52.
Okay, so you were around for all these films being made then?
I was in some of them. I was there.
Are you in any of the films?
In some of them, no. I was not an actor in any of them.
No, but like an extra, maybe when you watch Moonraker, you can see from the helicopter you're running around in the garden.
Well, actually, it was my brother who was, I think, during Moonraker, and at some point they were talking on the talkie-walkie and saying, "Who's that guy with the red shirt in the middle of the garden?" And that was my young brother hiding from the...
Yeah, that doesn't really go with the plot of that movie, does it? No. But what about, is that a big part of how you guys continue, is letting...
It's part of the business, yeah. It's it doesn't make so many revenues, but it can goes up to 100,000 euros per year.
Wow.
And so we had the series, also recently the series Versailles. I'm talking about Versailles for once. But the series Versailles, which was on private channels in the US and around the world, has been shot the 4 seasons on a regular basis here. So we can see a lot of Vaux-Le-Vicomte because they really wanted to show the 17th century decor. And the 17th century decor in France, you can find it in the Louvre, in Versailles, and in Vaux-Le-Vicomte. That's it.
But why didn't they just film it in Versailles then?
Because Versailles is a bit more complicated to film
and
also quite expensive.
I've heard it's really hard to film in just Paris parks. Like for any movie, like it's really... In fact, they don't let anyone film in there. Like if you go in there looking slightly professional, they come up and get angry at you.
Yeah, well, first, I guess you get to pay some fees, and then it's authorizations and hours, dedicated hours. And here we give a lot of freedom to the people who want to shoot.
Obviously, we're very different lines of business, you and I, but I'm really interested in business. I think it's fascinating. I've grown a business making a podcast. You've turned a chateau that it's very unusual in France. You and your family have turned it into a business. How do you, what goes through your mind in way, are you constantly thinking of new ways to do it, or is it just,
Yeah, the first thing is that Vaux-Le-Vicomte is, of course, is a business like any other chateau, but Vaux-Le-Vicomte, the difficulty with Vaux-Le-Vicomte is it's a huge place. So as a private family, to own this place, to run this place, and to manage to make money out of this place, or to at least break even, this place is huge. So I told you 1,200 acres. We got 5 acres of roof, 70 acres of gardens. We got 13 kilometers of wall around the property.
Wow!
All that we have to keep it and maintain and restore that. So it's a lot of money at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And of course, because of that, and because also we are very close to Paris, and there's so many things happening in Paris, we have to be innovative. We have to always find new ideas to attract people from Paris and to attract foreigners also.
Yeah.
So we're always into, actually, as you said, looking for innovations and new way to attract and to distract people from their lives and to have them coming here and spending a good time here at Vaux.
Do you think that there's a risk of it becoming one day too popular? Are you also conscious of that?
We're very careful about that. Yeah. I mean, the comfort of visit for us. I mean, we know what's happening in some places, and I don't want to use the chateau starting with a V, but another V. We're very careful about the comfort of visit here. And
well, I can say it because I don't think you want to, but if you go to some other big chateaus, if you go to Versailles, it's too busy. I can say it. It's too busy. I'll say it. Okay. The problem is but I will say it because I've said it on the podcast before. Yeah. It's beautiful, sure, but when you go out there, you have 80 people, you have 80 people right in front of you. And as I've seen on the pictures of here, I'm here today privately, but it seems a lot less busy here.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, the risk is that because it's smaller than Versailles also, the risk is to get there. So we're very careful about the comfort of visit. And luckily with the COVID, we had to put on place slot booking. So you have to make your booking by an hour with a specific hour. And that gives space to the visitors when they're inside the house and also in the gardens. But if you come during the week here and you go in the gardens, you feel like being alone. If you come during the candle evenings inside the house, there's more people. If you come at Christmas, which is got very popular, there's a lot of people. But with this new booking,
like a time slot, basically,
reservation, then we can work on that process.
I love it because the idea isn't just get more people here and get more people paying the entry fee. It's more like you got to be creative with it and find new ways to do it. I know that you have the International Friends of the Vaux-Le-Vicomte, which is ways that people could essentially donate if they want to help out.
Yeah,
right?
Because we're private, we don't get a lot of subsidies. I mean, a lot of people, even the French, they think we get a lot of subsidies from the state and from the regions. It got better a few years ago. But we have a budget of 9 million euro per year to finance everything here, including the salaries. And we get maybe 5% of subsidies. So it's nothing compared to the public chateau like Fontainebleau, Versailles, who get millions. So, of course, we need to keep the break-even, to at least reach the break-even. We needed to find new ways of revenue. So we have the visitors, we have the filming, we have the private reception, we have the weddings, but of course we got the donators. And half of our donators are coming from the US,
right?
And they come through the international Friends of Vaux-Le-Vicomte.
If you I'm not in a position to donate a lot of money to you guys, but if I did, do you give me special little treatment? You know, like
sure.
To people,
of course. There are some rules about that. So you get. If you're a company, you got some tax deduction. If you're individual, as a US, you can get 100% tax deduction, and also you can get some either a private party or some tickets or what.
Spend the night in the king's bed or something like that.
Yeah, we haven't done that, but maybe in the future.
when you and your brothers are sitting having brainstorming ideas about things that you could do you ever really dream crazy? Like, do you ever go, let's put a
we talked about this night on the king's bedroom.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that would be one of the most fun bits for your job. I love this, like so many French monuments, and especially in France, and I hate to say a negative thing about French people in France, but they can be very stuck in the ways that it's always been done.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite rare, like the fact that you invited me to come out here, that's quite rare. That someone would give me access to a place like this for a podcast, you know?
Yeah.
Like usually there's lots of rules and things like that. I think it's really fun that you guys have this approach that kind of anything's possible. And I think if I had your job, I'd be thinking of crazy things all the time. Probably bad ideas, you know, like put a roller coaster out the back, you know, like, and I have to reel myself in and go, no, that's not going to work. Have you thought about like inviting Jay-Z and Beyonce to do their next video out here like they did at the Louvre?
We're jealous to see the popularity on the net about Beyonce and the Louvre, but we are careful about who we want to have here.
Is that you never know who's listening? Is there someone out there that you would just die to have them here? Some American celebrity or something?
Well, we had the Eva Longoria that we had the chance to see here for a wedding.
Oh wow! She got married here.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
To what? Tony Parker?
With Tony Parker.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Except that marriage didn't last.
No, of course not. But of course not. But it didn't happen. But it happened like that. But they were very nice, and I had the chance to talk with them and spend a few minutes with them. And
as a basketball fan myself, I got to ask about Tony Parker. What was he like? Friendly guy?
Yeah, very friendly.
You would have spoke English with him, no?
I think I spoke French with him, but English. And I did the visit for them. He was not there, but Eva was there when they first chose Chantilly to get married. And at the last moment, I don't know why they changed to Vaux-Le-Vicomte. So I did the private visit with Eva Longoria and the team and the wedding team. And they finally, and I was surprised. I was thinking maybe a star like Eva would come for a 5 minutes visit, and I was showing her the property inside, outside, and she wanted to stay more, see more, and then she said, well, can we have lunch somewhere? So we had lunch together.
I'm not surprised that someone would want to spend more time here. I think that's I expect that of Eva to want to spend a little bit more time here. But that's cool. Did you get to go to the wedding as well?
Yeah.
You were there at the wedding?
Yeah.
Oh, what's Tony like? Friendly guy?
Well, I didn't. I was there as I was supervising a bit the wedding.
Yeah, well, you're not going to be a groomsman or something.
No, but I was not sitting at the dinner table. But at some American weddings, sometimes they invite us when they And we have now some friends in the US who got married here, and they invited for dinner here.
Amazing. And Chantilly, is that another competitor?
Yeah, Chantilly is a big competitor for private events. Yeah,
I see. And they also had a Bond film, so that's annoying.
Yeah.
Gosh. You must be annoyed that I keep mentioning all these other chateaux. But what we are going to do is continue to explore this magnificent chateau. I'm particularly interested, maybe we can finish on this, I'm particularly interested in the Grand Salon, the big room that's under renovation. I was kind of surprised when we walked in because I've seen the pictures of it. It's so grand and magnificent. And when you said there was scaffolding, I just imagined like when Michelangelo was painting the Sistine Chapel, I imagined there'd be a little scaffolding at the top. But the whole room is...
Yeah.
It's like you're.
I don't know how many tons of scaffolding.
It's like you're in a box or something when you're in there.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to know is what I can expect now when we go in there and what's actually happening.
Yeah. So this room is really the main central room with a ceiling which is 18 meters high, and there's a lot of sculptures around on the wall. So it's really an amazing room. And there was a very nice project of painting on that ceiling that Lebrun didn't have the time to do it. He didn't even have the time to start it. And our project is now to play with the technology and to show this project of painting by next year, 2022, with a video projection. So we are restoring the ceiling. We are cleaning the ceiling. We are also cleaning, since we have the scaffolding, we are cleaning all the sculptures on the walls. And then by this fall, we're going to have the video projection on La Fontaine, because we're celebrating the 400-year anniversary of Jean de La Fontaine, the famous
fable
artist.
writer.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his fables.
Who was protected by Nicolas Fouquet. So we're celebrating that this fall. And then starting 2022, we have the video projection of the project of Lebrun, which is going to be amazing.
Wow. So this is all plenty of stuff to look forward to and reasons to visit, I'd say.
Exactly.
As for you and I, we're going to climb the scaffolding and get a close look. Is this some kind of Eiffel Tower exclusive, getting up close and personal with the Grand Salon?
Yeah, you're going to be amazed there's so many details to look at.
Okay. So the idea is I'm going to go up there and make a YouTube video. If you guys haven't checked out YouTube, you're missing out, I think. You're missing out. And that's also where we're going to do a garden walk just before sunset tonight for the Patreon subscribers. But Jean Charles, this has been an amazing visit so far. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest. And thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a pleasure.
And there you have it. Wasn't that fun? Jean Charles de Vogüé, a wonderful guest and a lovely man. If you want to check out some of the things that we talked about, all the links are in the show notes. But the Château Vaux-Le-Vicomte, VAUXLEVICOMTE. Please go and visit. If you have even half as much fun as I did, it'll be probably the most memorable thing you do on your next trip to France. Now, a few extras to point out. You may have noticed at the start of this podcast episode that I didn't bang on about mattresses or website building things or whatever. I don't have adverts, I have patrons. If you enjoy this show and you want more from it, and you want to help make it better at the same time, patreon.com/The Eiffel Tower unlocks a whole world of extra content. And this particular week, you can sign up and see 2 walks that I did with Jean Charles. Right after we recorded this, we walked for an hour through the gardens. He turned the fountains on just for us. And because of the positive energy and the good internet connection, I started a second video right after where we walked through the chateau without a single soul in there except for Jean Charles and me, and Lina, of course. It was wonderful. The replays are there on Patreon. If you're not in a position to be a patron, that's okay too. There's plenty of extra stuff coming for you. For example, the chateau is undergoing a huge renovation job on the Grand Salon, the Grand Salon, which is this huge, it's like a ballroom with a domed roof on the inside. And they're doing this sort of repaint job on the top. They're touching up all the plaster statues around the sort of balcony height, which is almost, I can't even imagine what it looks like from the ground. You can't see it now because it's all scaffolding. But we climbed the scaffolding, I took the camera and I filmed all this stuff close up. Like I could touch the roof. I didn't, but I could have because I was right there. And these plaster statues, I was face to face with them. Usually you'd only be able to see them from way down on the ground. So I made a really cool video. Make sure you check out YouTube to see that as well. And otherwise, I'll be sharing lots of fun pictures and videos on Instagram and Facebook. All you have to do is search for the Eiffel Tower. Now, on a final note, as I mentioned at the start of the episode, my wife Lina is very, very pregnant. So I've mentioned this already in a few places, but when the baby does come along, my idea is to take a little bit of a break from doing weekly podcasting and to release the audiobook that I made for Paris on Air, my memoir. So if a Monday comes along and you don't see a brand new episode about something new and interesting, and instead you see chapter 1 of my audiobook, then you can figure out exactly what's happening behind the scenes. I hope you'll forgive me for taking my first break kinda ever on the podcast. But even more so, I hope you enjoy that audiobook because I put an awful lot of effort into it. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the coming weeks. But if you're not an audiobook person, I encourage you just to listen to 10 minutes of the first chapter and see if it hasn't caught your attention. But more on that later. Let's focus on the now, and that is you planning your next trip to Château Vaux-Le-Vicomte. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks very much for listening. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.